and applications that generate and store the electronic invoices and notes. So here we have defined four main terminologies: e-invoicing, e-invoice, and electronic notes, as well as the last e-invoicing system solutions. So next slide, we're going to have the e-invoicing implementation journey, how it began from 2022. December. So here we have in the left side of the slides, which shows the phase one, the publication of e-invoicing and regulations, and how the phase one is began, and how the regulations for phase one. Phase one, it will require also a QR code. However, it is not meant to be electronic. It is the readable format. However, the integration phase, which is to the right side of the slide, which is the integration phase, and the enforcement of phase one started, phase two started in 2023. Also, the integration phase are announced into or break down into waves. Depends on the revenue for your company or establishment. So the integration phase, to the right side of the slide here, it is showing the system and additional technical requirements and issuance of sharing invoices in a specific format. So here we differentiate in between the generation phase and the integration phase. So moving to next slide, who will be subject to implement phase two requirements. So all taxpayers subject to invoicing regulations in KSA and required to integrate with Fatura platform or Fatura portal into waves. So all taxpayers also will be notified to integrate their system, and the authority will announce this 6 months in advance to notify the taxpayers to move to phase two and integrate their solutions. So here we have covered the introduction of e-invoicing. So here we have the second agenda, which is the integration phase requirements. So what is required to be compliant with integration phase two. So here we have our focus for today workshop, which is the right side of the slide, and the e-invoicing implementation phase to the left side of the slide, which is the generation phase. So here is the additional for phase one, the generation phase is the and when it started 2021, and what is it called? It is called the generation and saving invoices for a B2B or a B2C invoices. So the phase one will contain the phase one. The QR code for phase one is only meant to be for a B2C. However, to phase two, we have to have a QR code in B2B invoice as well as B2C. So the integration phase, once it's started, there is a format, we call it XML, which will help you to have an electronic invoice. This is the format authority has selected, which will support the integration from your solution and bring the invoice data to Fatura portal. You can have the XML or embedded XML A3. So after that, the storage of the invoices in XML PDF or embedded XML. an invoice will contain, in phase two, will contain additional fields such as the cryptographic stamp and also the additional fields. We will have more details in the next slide. However, it is important to understand the model of the phase two, which is the clearance for a B2B and the reporting for a B2C invoices. So how to comply with phase two? And taxpayers must implement a set of requirements. So how to comply with phase two? Here we have in this slide, or this slide shows requirements, four requirements, and the most important of the compliance to understand those four requirements, which is the internet, the connection from the system. So you have to have an internet in order to connect to the internet and then integrate with the system. So, and then we have the integrate e-invoicing solution. So you have to choose your solution and to submit the invoices to or share the invoices with Zatca. So the internet, and then we have the solution you have to choose, and then to ensure the additional fields requirements for the third requirement, and then generate and store the invoices into an electronic format, which is XML or a PDF A3 embedded XML. And for more details for this one, you can refer to the detailed requirement of general guideline in e-invoicing in Zatca website in e-invoicing to have this more detailed for the generating the invoices and how the for how we are covering those four requirements. So next, we will have the third agenda for e-invoicing. So here we have more details for the clearance and reporting. Here are the samples of e-invoicing or invoices. So we have a tax invoice to the left side and how it is how the invoice is set up, and then to the right side it is the simplified tax invoice. So what is meant by a tax invoice? A tax invoice is a business to business, and it will contain more elements or additional fields. Business to business invoice, we call it a standard invoice or a tax invoice. And then to the right side, we have a simplified tax invoice, which is usually issued from your business company establishment to an individual who is not a VAT registered. For example, for a simplified invoice, if I go to a supermarket, I will go and then buy, for example, a water or any product. The cashier will issue an invoice to me. They don't have to have my VAT number, so we call it as a simplified tax invoice, which is a B2C. So here's the general understanding of a tax invoice and a simplified tax invoice. Moving next, the e-invoicing models and how we can differ the invoices and how we can implement in phase two. Those are the types of issuing a transaction as a tax invoice or a simplified invoice. So we are going to explain to the left side of the slide phase one, which we call it the generation phase. A tax invoice, the supplier will issue a tax invoice, generate a tax invoice, and then they can share the invoice with the buyer, and then they can store the invoice in phase two, in phase one. So we are explaining phase one. So to generate the invoice, pass it to the buyer, and then store the invoice. So next we are having a simplified tax invoice in phase one. So the supplier will generate the invoice, share the invoice with the customer, and then store the invoice. And then finally, they have the ability to scan the QR code. So here we explained phase one, the generation phase. Moving to phase two, integration phase. Uh, the supplier in phase two, for a tax invoice, the supplier or the store will issue the invoice, generate the invoice, and then the platform, which is Fatura portal, will clear that invoice. We call it the clearance model, as we mentioned before. The platform will clear the invoice, and then they can share the invoice with a customer, and then the store the invoice. So this is the tax invoice in phase two. Now the simplified invoice, which is the reporting model, the supplier or the store, the company or the establishment will generate the invoice and then share the invoice with the customer, and then they can store and share it with Zatca within 24 hours, and then they will have the ability to scan the QR code. So here we explained the cycle from the supplier to the end uh, supplier to the customer, the company or the establishment, and then we differentiate in between phase two, phase one, phase two, and how the clearance model we clear it from Fatura portal, and the reporting model, how we share the invoice with the customer and then share it with Zatka within 24 hours. So moving next to tax invoice sample, here is the sample and the changes in integration phase. So what is being added to to the tax invoice? Here are the main changes. First, it become an electronic in XML format or a PDF A3 format, as well as additional visible fields being added. And then here in the blue color, it's showing the phase two requirements, which is the QR code, as well as the commercial registration number being added to tax invoice, as well as the total without VAT and the total with VAT. So here is a sample of the tax invoice, and then here we can also see a sample of a simplified tax invoice and what is being added to the phase two simplified tax invoice. The main changes here, it is also an electronic format, XML, embedded XML. Also additional fields being added, which is the um, total with VAT. And it is the reporting model where you can sign your invoice and then share the invoice with a customer, and then you can share it with Fatura portal within the 24 hours, and we call it the reporting model. So next, we're going to have a frequent questions regarding e-invoicing. So for those are the main common questions being asked to authority, which will help you understand moving from phase one to phase two. So what is phase two? So it is the integration phase with your API to submit your simplified tax invoice and a tax invoice. Um, it is the integration phase, and this phase enforcement starting in 2023, implemented into waves by taxpayers who are subject to e-invoicing, and those are breakdown into waves. And then there is a specific date for each wave. Also, they are notified by 6 months in advance. So we will take the second question. How will Zatca notify taxpayers about their integration wave? Usually there is different channels the authority is using to notify the taxpayers. Depends on their waves. There is SMS or email, and there is also a social media source to let the taxpayers know about their integration rollout. So we are going to take question number 4. Where can the solution providers find all requirements for phase 2? So solution providers can find information on integration phase on Zatca website. They can visit the website in e-invoicing, and then there is a specific link for the solution provider to apply for being a solution provider with Zatca and be compliant with requirements. So next, can a taxpayer use the same e-invoicing solution that was used for phase 1? So as long as the answer is, as long as the solution is compliant with phase 2, yes, they can use the same solution and build that automation in the solution to be compliant with phase 2. So the taxpayers, yes, they can use their solution as long as the solution um, compliant with Zatca e-invoicing requirements. So next, should a taxpayer continue following phase 1 requirements until phase 2 applies to them? Yes, the taxpayer should follow the same requirements for phase 1 until they are notified to integrate for phase 2. However, if the taxpayer, it is optional for the taxpayers to integrate before the wave begin. So they are the authority is welcoming for voluntary to integrate with phase 2. So next we're going to have, if a taxpayer is compliant with phase 1 requirements and was not yet notified by Zatca Integrate, is the taxpayer required to implement phase 2 requirements? So the answer is not required until they are notified or they are going to be a voluntary and they would like to integrate with the phase 2. So we took 9 questions for the frequent questions and going to move to the last of today workshop agenda, invoicing supporting materials. So in supporting materials, we have um, tools that the authority is providing in the developer portal. Once you visit the Zatca website, we have different 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 tools to be compliant with Zatca, and one of the main there is we call it SDK, which which support the phase 2 requirements, which will enhance your solution to be integrated with Fatura portal. So there is also a portal, we call it the developer portal, which is the sandbox. To the sandbox meant here to be an environment that will help you to implement before going live or before going to the production, which is the final production to test your compliance. So we also providing the simulation environment, the simulation environment, which is the copy of the production, where you can uh, test your invoices, simplified invoice or a tax invoice, and submit it to Fatura portal to make sure that uh, the requirements of phase two is compliant correctly. So here is the environment that authority is providing. Also, we have the different uh, resources you can refer to, which will explain and in details to understand the basic understanding of e-invoicing for phase one and for phase two. We have the detailed technical guideline, which explain the technical understanding of the onboarding and the signing process. Also, we have detailed for Fatura portal. Fatura portal is the platform where you can sign with your credentials. ERAD, we call it ERAD, to sign with your TIN number and a password, and then get the OTP in order to onboard successfully. We have also a resource called Educational Library, where you have all the resources for specifically for phase two. And then we have also the regulations for invoicing and how to implement the XML, which we call it XML implementation standard, and how to comply with that XML, which you're going to send your invoices from your solution to the Fatura portal. And in order to have a compliant XML, you need to refer to the data dictionary. Data dictionary is the data that your invoice contains, um, and then how you will have the security features for implementing a standard implementation. So all those resources or supporting resources are available at Zatca website in e-invoicing, and you can refer to it to any time. So here also you can also get in contact with the authority through different channels. For example, we have the call center 19993, where you can raise your ticket, and then it will be delivered to e-invoicing team in order to contact you. And then you can also use the social media or a website in order to raise a ticket, or refer to the sources that the e-invoicing phase two requirements are implemented. Also, if you have a RM or a relationship manager, you can refer to and then ask them to support you to implement your solution whenever you are required for phase two rollout. So finally here, I would like to thank you to attend this workshop for phase two. And if you have any questions regarding the general phase two, you can raise your hands and we can unmute you. So, Mr. Abdul Mohsen, if you allow the audience to ask the questions, we can unmute them. So, Mr. Muhammad, if you have a question. So, Mr. Muhammad, you are unaudible. If you can fix the mic or try another way to speak so we can hear you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum salam. I have a question regarding you have mentioned that we need to share our invoices within 24 hours with the Zatca authority. Uh,
Yes.
please, can you specify after this is the time period of when we create the invoice in our ERP system? Then after creation of invoice, we have 24 hours to share the invoice and means post the invoice for the Zatca update.
Mahmoud or
Yeah.
Muhammad? Yes.
Mm,
So
yes.
go ahead.
Please,
Yes.
please. I am.
Yeah.
Please. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Shall I refer to the question? So first, I advise to refer to Article 53
Okay.
for the VAT regulations in KSA, which is also available in Zatca website, the regulation of e-invoicing, simplified invoice or a tax invoice. So simplified invoice, you need to share it to report it with the Fatura portal within 24 hours for a simplified invoice. However, for a tax invoice, once you clear it from Zatca, you have to share it with the customer. So in this process, you need to for a tax invoice, it is 15 days from the supply date. So kindly please just refer to Article 53 for the VAT regulation, which will give you a clear understanding for the sharing your invoices within 24 hours for a simplified invoice, and for a tax invoice it is 15 days from the supply date. Yes. So Adam, Adam, if you are there.
Assalamu alaikum.
السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Can I ask in Arabic or do I have to use English?
Yes, you can ask. Yes.
By Arabic. Yeah? احنا عندنا في مشكلة
Sorry,
بتواجهنا حاليا.
you can because this workshop is meant to be in English. I'm sorry, I missed.
اوكي
So if you can, if you allow me to just make sure this question going to be in English, so there is
اوكي
more audience who are interested to listen also.
اوكي. We have an issue with some sales invoices that not being sent to Zapka and not accepted because we didn't use debit cards, okay, and it's 1 month to when referring to the tax return, should we include this in the tax return? Understand?
So,
Uh,
phase one is the those are invoices for sales invoices, not purchase invoices. Only sales
okay,
invoices.
the issue that the sales invoices not be sent to Zatka and not accepted. What
S-
can I, how can I fix it?
So if there is a rejection,
Yes.
first you need to if you have a developer, first you need to have the Zatka response. This is the first thing. Once you submit your invoice, you will have the response from Zatka. It will give you the business uh, transaction or yes, and the BT start with BT, which is a business transaction, and then you can refer to the data dictionary that I showed you before. So you will have the code and then work on that. It depends on what kind of error or warning. If you have a warning, then the invoice is submitted successfully. If you have an error, so there is an error, you need to fix it and then submit your invoice. So it depends on the code that you received from Zatka. So Nasser, Ahmed, Ahmed, if you can unmute, please. Yes,
Is my voice clear?
yes.
Uh, okay, I have a question, though I'm not sure if it's the right place. I'll leave that to you. I want to ask regarding the e-invoice solution providers. I have a system. I've been told from the provider that it's supporting both phase one and two. Now we are trying to integrate our system for phase two, but they are asking now for a fee for the integration. So I want to ask, is they are allowed to collect these kind of fees from us?
So the authority is giving the option to either deal with the solution provider or to have your own integration solution if you already have the uh, developer or the technical team in your company or whatever that the place you are working on. So the authority is giving the option for you to have either options, whether to go for a solution provider if you would like to, or the solution that you already have in place in order to be compliant. So regarding the fees, there's different options for you to go for. Once you get to the Zatka website, you will have different ranges. So we don't deal with the uh, this kind of we are not recommending. Those are solution providers who are qualified, and you this is depends on your preference.
Yeah, I see, but just for your know that I chose this provider from the Zatka website. It was like authorized from Zatka website. So I've been working with them maybe for a year or more on phase one. Now moving to phase two, they are asking from me uh, a fee, and it's a quite big fee. The provider asking from me, so he can integrate my system to comply with the Zatka Fatura platform. Knowing that it's supposed to be supporting both. So my question is, are they allowed to do this or no?
Well, this is a commercial question. So, of course, they have the specific profile and their website, so you can also check them, and then to have the different um, options for you. So I would say to you, it depends on how much you want. We don't deal with the commercial here, and which company that you prefer. So better for you to have the to check the website and then go for your preference. So we don't recommend you for a specific company. That's what I can answer you.
Hello. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
All right. I have a question. First, that we received the email from Zatca that our implementation phase is from January 1st till March 31st, 2025. So my first question is like, what's the maximum day of deadline? Is it January 1st or is it March 31st to be ready to?
Which wave are you?
I forgot, but the dates are given are like Jan till 31st
So
March.
of course you will have the notification and then specifying the wave. Once
Mm,
you know your wave, so you can enter the Zatka website and then go to e-invoicing. There is an option called rollout phase, and then
mm.
just scroll down. Depends on the integration wave in which one. There is a deadline for each integration. So once you know your wave, and then just scroll down, you will find your wave and then the deadline for your wave.
So if it's written March 31st, 2025,
So
this
that is
means.
the deadline. Yes, that is the deadline. You can integrate before that day.
Mhm.
So until that day, this is the final.
Okay. My second question is like, which we may have already answered it, but just to clarify, once submit the invoice through integration with Zetka, how would we know that the process is because it's going to be first time, the January invoice, end of January invoice would be the first time. So once we do this process, how would we know that the process has been done successfully? Because will we get some okay from Zetka by email, or how would that happen?
No, it depends on your compliance. So if you are compliant with with the requirements, then there will be a reporting model and a clearance model, as I explained. If it is a simplified invoice, there is a response, which is called reporting, a simplified invoice, and the tax B2B invoice. It will be cleared from Fatura portal with the code 200. So if the code 200 200, which means this is a successful submission.
Mhm.
Also, you
So,
can use the web-based validator or SDK. Once you're compliant, it will mention that you are compliant with the XML the XML is compliant with with the Zatka requirements, UBL 2.1. So this is once if you have a technical, then you will see this code 200. If you don't have, then the response will be reported or cleared. Yeah. Yes, yes, you are. Yes, this function is disabled right now. It is going to be back in the future, but there is no specific day. But this function is supporting for a statistic page. However, you still be able to know that your invoices are delivered once, as you mentioned, cleared or reported, which means shared successfully. Yes. According to Article 53, so Arabic is the main language, and it will be violated if it is in another language. So you can have it associated with Arabic. You can have the English or whatever language you prefer. So the Arabic is the main, and then you can have additional languages.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam rahmatullah barakatuh.
So in some cases I have here, if I submitted the invoice in 15 days, the client will review it and then he sent the feedback. So the days for to cancel and issue another invoice may pass 15 days. So so I'm talking about B2B invoices. So if there is an issue or a way to, or it's okay if it's I reissued after 15 days the second invoice.
See, for this one, for a B2B invoice, you need to clear it first with the Fatura portal. So once it is cleared, you can share it with the customer, not before a clearance. So once you clear it, you can share it. If there is any change, you will have to issue a credit or debit notes for that invoice you already cleared with the Fatura portal.
Okay, so when I clear it first time and I share it with the clients, because I will wait a feedback from the clients. If it's okay, so he will send the money, or if it's not clear, or maybe when he review it and it's not okay, he will send it back and I will see the feedback and I will adjust the invoice. But when I issue the second invoice, it will me past 15 days. So there is any issue if it's the second invoice past 15 days?
Well, as I mentioned, like if you submitted the invoice B2B to Fatura portal, now the this is an internal. If there is any change, as I mentioned, if there is any change or a reverse to the submitted invoice, you need to clear. If there is any change in the value or the title or whatever quantity, you need to issue a credit note. And the credit note, there is no deadline for you to issue credit notes once the invoice is cleared from the authority, the Fatura portal. If it is correct, there is no need for a credit note. If there is any change, then you need to correct it. Abdul Mahsan, if you can allow next.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam rahmatullah barakatuh.
I was wondering that the other guy has asked you same question, that I have a provider that he is on his platform, his dashboard, he is saying, okay, I can see that some B2B invoices, they are cleared, and some B2C invoices, they are reported, okay, from his dashboard. But how to make sure that he is actually reporting or clearing it from the Zatca, from Zatca? Is there any specific report that I can access it to it from Zatca Fatura to see if there is if he did comply with this clearance or reported? My second question is, please, there is some issues in the invoices. Sometimes we need to show to the customer, for example, for the B2B, we need to show him that there is, for example, an advance payment. So suppose that the client has paid an advance payment, okay, like say 20% or something. The client sometimes wants us from the same invoice to show the deduction of this advance payment from the concerned invoice. Is there any way to show a negative line for this, or I have to make a separate credit note for the deduction of the advance payment from the invoice? Thank you.
So, as I mentioned, the reporting and clearance is the response from Zatca. Once the submit the invoice, it will give you either reporting for a simplified, and for the tax invoice, it will give you a clearance model. So this is the first thing. And there is no, for the statistic page, it is not available. If you want technically, if you want to check the invoices are done correctly, so you need to be first, make sure that the invoices are compliant. Either you can check it from the web-based validator or the SDK tool that the authority is providing to check your invoices requirements are compliant with the requirements of phase two. So this is the first thing. The second question, there is no negative values added in the XML. It is not allowed. If it is a prepayment, you need to issue a prepayment, and then until the adjustment of your invoices, the final invoice you can issue. Uh, if there is any adjustment, then you need to issue a credit note for that invoice. So advance payment will not have the negative value in the XML. XML will not accept any negative values.
Assalamu alaikum. Do you hear me?
Salam rahmatullah. Yes.
I'm asking about government contracts. It's same. You can deem same as B2B. It's considered B2B or what? For the invoice.
Yes,
Because
you can treat it as a B2B invoice.
because as you know, government contracts or government invoices, you have just you will pay the tax only after you get the payment order or you get money paid. So if I make declare the invoice by that website, this will affect anything for the declaration for every quarter for me or not? Will not affect anything. But the
So
declaration is the same, right?
B2G it is same as a B2B, exactly the same. Yes. So treat it as a B2B, a tax invoice, a standard tax invoice.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam rahmatullah barakatuh.
I would like to ask about our simplified invoice. It is now containing the item and the price before the tax. And by the total, there's the amount without tax and then the amount with tax. Now we have to add the new column, which is total price for each item with the tax, right?
Yes.
And should I put the percentage of the tax on the same simplified book on each item?
No, for the total tax invoice, yes.
Only on the total. Okay. Regarding the void that we will make, because we are a restaurant and there's some void.
There is a standard, VAT category code. It is the 15%. So there is a standard for this.
No, I mean if I make a void for any invoice or any item, what should I do with Zatca or not? Or I don't do anything, so I keep the invoice as it is.
Depends on what is for example, an example for different items, because we have a 15%. So that is the VAT category code. It is used for the XML. So if there is any kind of VAT, you need first to refer to the VAT consulting. And then after making sure you have samples of invoices. If it is out of scope, you need to write an out of scope invoice, and then you can have the invoice shared with the Fatura portal. So yes. Hello? Abdul Mahsen?
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you for your presentation. I just have a question and a follow-up question, if I may. Now, as of the B2B invoicing, usually the approval of it from the Zatca, is it going to be based on formality of the invoice or sometimes subjectively?
This is a B2B invoice, right?
B2B, yes, yes.
So now you generated the invoice?
Yeah, the reason for my question is similar to some of the questions that been asked. Sometime when you generate the invoice and send it to the client, he either change the item or ask for more deduction or more discount. So sometimes those invoices you redo it again. So I'm saying if I'm using the same formality for all invoices, wouldn't it be better if I send the invoice to the client and once he's approved it, I send it to Zatca to get the approval from them?
This is going to be internal before clearance. If there is any changes after clearance, then going to be a credit note.
Yeah, basically, I'm sorry. If I send to the client a draft invoice, only a draft invoice, just to get his approval on the invoice and the item and the prices, and if he approved and said approve the order, then I would generate the invoice and make it a tax invoice and send it to Zatka to get approval and then send it to the client. Would that be okay?
That is the system, yes.
Okay, okay.
So
Just
yes,
want to make
yeah,
sure. Yes, okay. Thank you.
welcome, thank you. So I'm trying to allow the mic if Hamza, Abdul Nasser, Rabi, if you can unmute, please. Yes.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for your presentation. Actually, we have our in-house ERP team. We prepared the Jetka portal, whatever the invoice submission, clearance, reporting, everything we have. This our application, our internal application, it's really need to be registered with the Jetka portal. Your listed application.
Yes, so the question, sorry.
See, we have our in-house product, in-house ERP software. It is doing all the functionalities, whatever reporting, say e-submission, everything it is doing. Zetka portal, everything it is clear our side. But our software, it is really required to registered with the Zetka from the government.
So the invoice is cleared?
Yeah, it is clearing everything. Our side, the technical things, everything is okay. But our
Yeah.
software, it's required to be registered with the Zetka. Is it required?
The software is compliant with if it is clear, then this means it is a compliant.
It is
So
clear.
if you receive clearance for a B2B, means the invoice is successfully submitted to Fatura portal. Am I answering your question?
You are answering correct only, but I want to be 1 second.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam rahmatullah.
Actually, we have IT team and we have developed our own application for the Zatca portal. Now, is it required to register our application in the portal or no need? Directly we are sending to the portal, getting the response. So, is it enough or we need to register our software in the portal?
You already onboarded, right?
Yes.
So if you are onboarded, then that means the system is compliant and you have the certificate, right?
We have our company. We have the certificate. We have actually we are the trading company, sales and trading company.
You have one solution?
Yeah, our own solution we have.
One solution only that you.
Yeah, one solution. Yes.
So this means the solution is onboarded. Is
Yeah,
there any?
yeah.
This means if it is onboarded, then it is listed in the unit. Once you enter the Fatura portal, you will see the unit, the solution that you already onboarded in the list. So
Correct.
if it,
In the
yes,
show,
so
it is showing in the system. Like when we are logging the portal, it is showing.
That's it. Yes,
That's enough.
Yes, that's compliant. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So thank you so much for attending the Q&A session, and this Q&A it's the workshop. This will be conducted every month to help you and support you understanding the e-invoicing requirements. I would like to thank you all to attend this.
حق الكوكيز هذا اهم شيء لازم اي بس لا مرتب الفيديو احد بس خلال وتسوي بعد نقاصات